Since my last video I made based on a poll did so well, and I'm serious, look at those numbers. I've never seen numbers that high. I decided to take another crack at it. This time talking about battle items that are, generally useless, and explaining not only why they're generally useless, but also talking about how they could be improved to make the Bible. Well, let's get started then. Also, can I just say once again, this is the first time one of my videos that I actually put effort into got more than 10 views, it feels like. Like, every time I spend days to even an hour or thinking, planning, recording, editing, put more effort into, my videos get zero attention compared to whenever I just upload clips of my battles and random stuff I do on Twitch. Okay, now we can get started.
Is there more to us than the words we say, the games we play? Can we know that we're not dreaming?
Now, in the poll I listed 4 items, but in truth I had a 5th up there. But after thinking about it, I removed that item. The item in question is known as Binding Ban. Now, the reason it's removed is because of what it does. It increases the damage of moves like Wrap and Bind. And if you're going to be relying on that kind of damage, Binding Ban is actually a good boost. Instead of dealing 1/8 the user's total health in damage, the Pokemon instead gets dealt 1/6 of their health. So a vast increase in overall damage, and a substantial improvement to damage output for the Pokemon using this strategy. However, the same cannot be said for its cousin, Grip Claw. Grip Claw in Pokemon always causes a Pokemon using moves like Wrap or Bind or other similar moves to extend from 5 turns to 7 turns. That's it. Nothing else. And generally in Pokemon, this has never been nor ever was a very good strategy. This is because there are very few Pokemon that can make good use of this strategy. The only one that comes to mind is maybe Mew, but that's a legendary, and I don't know if Mew can even learn Wrap or Bind. A non-legendary would be a Pokemon like Seviper that comes to mind, capable of using moves like Toxic, Rest, Sleep Talk, Wrap. But this is probably a horrible strategy, relying on your opponent not being able to knock you out quickly enough, which nowadays most Pokemon can do, and if not, they have ways to deal with such a strategy. In the very first generation, this probably would have been the perfect item, as back then, Wrap not only did damage over time, but it stopped the opponent from moving and it kept the opponent from switching out. However, all good things come to an end, and the Wrap meta was one such thing. Now, Grip Claw, as it stands, is a waste of an item slot, and relying on Wrap and or Bind to deal damage is a very suboptimal play, unless it's for giggles, or you're doing it to troll your opponent in singles with a Baton Pass Pokemon that has like +6 in all of its defense stats. But in that case, you're better off with leftovers instead of Grip Claw. Now, one way we can fix Grip Claw would be to, or at least make it more viable as an item for use in battle, would be to give back Wrap's old power from Generation 1 by using Grip Claw. Now, here's my idea. Let's bring back Seviper for this, and now we give him the move Wrap and the item Grip Claw. But unlike the old one, this is the buffed Grip Claw. Every time Seviper uses the move Wrap, the opponent has a 55% chance to flinch. Not exactly a coin flip effect, but it gives repeated use of the move Wrap some value. Just to clarify, this flinch chance only works if you use Wrap, not if you use another move like, say, Rest. So, the only way you'll get this flinch chance is if you keep using the move Wrap. The residual damage does not give you the chance to flinch, only using the move Wrap does, and only if you're holding the Grip Claw item. We can keep the 7-turn extension, but with the previously mentioned flinch chance, it probably would be a waste of time. So, we'll just instead keep the flinch chance as our buff to Grip Claw. Now, our next item we'll be covering is the Sticky Barb, and Woo! Oh boy, is this one considered truly useless. Now, Sticky Barb's effect is this. Now, at the end of the turn, the item damages the user by 12.5% of the holder's maximum HP with each passing turn. Now, on paper, that's not too bad, all things considered. That's pretty good damage output. At the same time, if your opponent uses a move that makes physical contact, such as, say, Tackle, then Sticky Barb will attach to the Pokemon that used the contact move and becomes their problem, dealing damage and sting with them till the end of the match. So again, on paper, this isn't too bad. But here's the caveat. It only changes ownership when the opponent's Pokemon is holding 0 items. Now, in a normal playthrough of a game, this is not a problem. NPCs don't use items 99% of the time with their Pokemon. But in a competitive scene, even on casual ladder, the only people who don't give their Pokemon items to hold are baby bottle beginners just jumping into the pool of online battling with a mismatch of Pokemon on their team, or people who forgot to put items on their team. So already, this item's usefulness is extremely bad, and the only real way it works is if you're doing some switcheroo or trick plays, where you swap items around with your opponent, and even then, you're way better off with either a Toxic Orb or a Flame Orb. So, how can we fix this? Can Sticky Barb even be fixed to begin with? Short answer, yes, otherwise I wouldn't have included it onto this list. And it comes down to a viewer's suggestion. Since Sticky Barb is, well, a Sticky Barb, what it could do is slow the opponent's Pokemon down by 1 stage of speed, while also dealing damage. This causes a massive hamper to the opponent, as not only will they have to deal with the damage stacking up over time, but also this sudden loss in speed. Now, on contrary Pokemon, this would be a downside to the idea, but the damage is still there, and let's face it, you can spot a contrary Pokemon a mile away. However, we're still left with a very big flaw, the fact that it needs to be slapped onto the opponent for it to be used. To offset this, what we can do is make Sticky Barb act like a knockoff item. What it does is it knocks off the opponent's item to replace it, but only if, and I repeat, only if the attacker uses a physical contact move with the Pokemon holding the item. Seeing this buff, suddenly I'm getting a bit worried about using physical attacking moves. This item isn't even in the game to begin with. Our third item to examine is one that offers unique benefits, but honestly isn't worth using at the same time because of the massive downsides it has. That item is the Utility Umbrella, and this item does the following. It protects the wearer against the effects of harsh sunlight and rain on the field. Now, let me reiterate. It protects the wearer against the effects of harsh sunlight and rain on the field. This does not do what Safety Goggles does, and protects against harmful weather effects as well as spore move effects. This only protects against harsh sunlight and rain effects, whether they be beneficial or not. Now, what this means is, if you're a Ferrothorn under the effects of sunlight and your opponent is using a Flamethrower with the Torkoal, with the right nature, EV Spread, and the Utility Umbrella, you actually only have a slim, I repeat, a slim chance of being killed in one shot. But, to be fair, if you're using the Utility Umbrella in that kind of a scenario, you're way better off with the Assault Vest, as that is an extremely weak reason to need the Umbrella. Fun fact, I had to edit this part in my script because I misinterpreted how Utility Umbrella worked initially. Big shout out to my viewer Real who helped me test it out. Woo! At the same time, Utility Umbrella will hamper your Pokemon's abilities and moves. If you're, say, using a Leaf Guard Pokemon or a Chlorophyll Pokemon, you won't be protected from burns, nor will you get a speed boost from the sun. If you're using moves like Solar Beam or Solar Blade, moves that normally would only need 1 turn to activate and fire in harsh sunlight, you will forfeit that benefit and need 2 turns if you're using the utility umbrella. And finally, let's just say you're a charm. You are not going to be able to activate its ability to change its form based on the sunlight if it's holding the umbrella, meaning you won't get the charm's ability's benefits. And while it also, at this point, it doesn't need to be said, let's just say if you're going to use thunder under the effects of rain. Normally, you would have infinite accuracy if you're using thunder in the rain. However, with the ability of the utility umbrella, you don't get that benefit. Instead, it's just the standard thunder accuracy. Doesn't matter if the rain is up or not, you're not getting that infinite accuracy. Oh my goodness, is there anything this utility umbrella does? Oh, wait. No, it does not protect against the hail or sandstorm damage, so yeah, rip. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. The upsides are not at all worth the numerous downside. Most people that rely on weather effects rely on the positive weather effects more than the negatives affecting them. This basically wastes a slot and only makes your Pokemon just average at best at all weathers. And even in weather-based strategies, you are just basically you're basically just shooting yourself in the foot. There's no other way to put it. I'm even going off script to say this. You're just shooting yourself in the foot if you give your Pokemon this utility umbrella. Overall usefulness, non-existent. Can we save it? Yes. First, by removing the negatives. If we remove the negatives, this item gives you it instantly gets better. But again, there's not much there. Also, as another upside, if we really want to buff this weapon, we can have it offer a one-time protection against very specific moves. I'm talking Water Spout or Eruption. Have it, I don't know, act like a Focus Sash or something like that. Make it act like a Mimikyu Disguise, where if this Pokemon is holding this item and they use the move Eruption, what it could do is have the utility umbrella melt away from the extreme heat of Eruption or blown away by the downpour of Water Spout, protecting the Pokemon from these often very powerful moves as a one-time deal. You know, suddenly I feel like singing in the rain, whether it's raining sunshine or not, because of these buffs. Now, on to our final item. An item that, well, I've never been able to use it myself, but some people have, and that is Shell Bell. Shell Bell has the following effect. If the user deals damage to the opponent's Pokemon, they will get back 1/8 the damage they dealt as health restored. You know, on paper that seems pretty nice. Until you realize that 1/8 healing is only really good when you realize this is based on damage dealt. And you realize the only real way you're getting back a lot of health back is if you do a lot of damage. And even then, it's only as much HP as the opponent's Pokemon has. So, if you deal 80 damage, you get a whopping 8 health points back. If you KO a Pokemon for over 200 health, you get a grand total of 25 HP back. I actually had to do math to figure out some of this stuff, so I hope you're happy. At this point, you're better off just using a Life Orb and taking the HP net loss penalty to deal even more damage. The only real benefit this item offers is to Pokemon that have very low HP bars and very high attack abilities. For example, there is an unlimited level setting where Pokemon can be set to level 1 or 100 depending on what they are. Now, the lower HP Pokemon would find this item very useful, especially a certain Pokemon named Aaron. Listen, there's a reason why this level 1 Aaron strategy was so devastating. Pokemon with Endeavor, Sturdy, Shirty Bell. Oh, that thing gives me nightmares just thinking about it. I remember those days. You plant this thing right next to a priority Pokemon. Oh, it's not something you want to meet on the other side of the field in a doubles format. Now, if you can make use of Shell Bell, more power to you. But for the sake of the video, let's see what we can do with Shell Bell. Now, since Shell Bell is all about healing you based on damage dealt, how about we just give it a boost to the HP it regenerates? Instead of 1/8 the damage you deal, why not change it to 1/4 the damage you deal, doubling the output? And let's just say it's used by a water type, specifically a water type. It doubles it again to 1/2. Pokemon that use moves like Water Spout, of which there are only 5 species, those being the Wailord line, Kyogre, the Jellicent line, Blastoise line, and Octillery line, they can keep their Water Spout shenanigans going if they take damage, inspiring them to keep the ball rolling despite losing HP. Now, we don't need to make it too crazy. Just make it more worthwhile to put our Pokemon in such a position where they're using a Shell Bell instead of, more reliable items that we are all more commonly using. Now, these are just my thoughts, my ideas, my brain's many years of competitive knowledge being put to use. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you like it, you comment on it, and you help my channel continue to grow. What topic should I try thinking about doing next? Tell me down below. For now, this Reshiram will send you off with a Sylveon and a Jolteon watching the sunset in the background. Bye-bye!